Let's start off by doing a quick rundown of what you guys are up to. In addition to, of course, running your own record label, you guys have got a new album coming out next year, your 5th studio album. You've got the Stand Up EP, which is going to be available on tour, and you've got the tour starting later this month. Do you guys have any, free time these days, or is it just all work?
No, we found a way to keep ourselves pretty busy.
How's the?
Pretty much that is the gist of it. I mean, we've got this next record, which we're really, really excited about, coming out next year, and this Stand Up EP and the tour that the Use Your Soul tour that we're going to be on this fall is really just kind of a way to prime the pump and to get the audience excited about what's about to happen, and also on some level or another, you could almost say it's like test marketing or something like that. You get out there, you play music, you see what people like, and it helps you get an idea of maybe what to do with the coming record. So I think it's a great way to begin a process.
So tell us about the upcoming album. I know you're going to be trying to preview some of the songs as you go on the tour. I mean, what are you guys doing with the new album? I know your previous album, it was inspired by some of your trips to Africa. What was your inspiration for this album? What type of music can fans expect?
Well, I mean, anybody that's familiar with a Hanson record in the last 6-7 years is going to feel a lot of familiar kind of sounds and song structure and all those kind of things. So it's definitely consistent with the recent records. However, I will say I think it's a little bit more just kind of straight to the vein, just kind of organic pop rock. It's got a lot of piano driven songs. There are definitely some very riffy, very groovy songs as well. But I think it's a songs record more than anything. It's about kind of the joy of music, I suppose, and there are some mellow moments and things like that as well. But it's a liberated record, and I think we're really proud of where that record has gone. You never really know exactly how albums are going to turn out. It's a very live sounding record as well, in the sense of the energy that you've got from it. It's very it's kind of a living, breathing thing. So.
Sounds great. One question I really wanted to ask you guys was a few years ago you did a documentary film called Strong Enough to Break, which you'll be releasing on DVD soon. And this film, it was originally supposed to be about the making of an album, and it turned into a look at the state of the record industry and your guys' sort of role in it in general. And what do you think in the time since you've made that? That was a few years ago. What has changed for you since then, and what has changed for the industry as a whole?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of things have changed for the industry. In some cases for the worse, and some cases for the better. I think one of the biggest things that has changed, which is an enormous positive, is the accessibility of digital music, and the fact that legitimate forums like iTunes, like Amazon, have really started to permeate the music buying and music listening culture, and fans are able to find what they want quickly, and kind of, I guess you could say, the reaction to popular music is a little bit more of a real-time experience, even more so than ever. I think some of the unfortunate downsides are because of continued consolidation in a lot of the record companies. The artist development and the long-term thinking just has tended to suffer in the last decade or so, and so it is unfortunate, but you know what? That's a classic story, and there's not really a lot. There's not really. I suppose it's not particularly new. It just so happens that now, because of the proliferation of digital media and because of piracy and things like that, you see record companies having a really hard time making ends meet in the way that they have before. And so they're having to take a lot of long, hard looks at the way that they have done business and try and change that. Unfortunately, I think it's going to take some serious entrepreneurial adjustments on the part of the music business as a whole. And I don't know who of those companies and how exactly that will happen. But it's going to have to happen one way or the other, and I guess we'll just see how it all ends up.
Well, one question, then a follow-up, I guess, would be: you guys are running your own label now, and a lot of the internet also makes it possible for other artists to sort of put their stuff out there a little more freely without the interference of record labels. Do you think that's a potential upside? I mean, I know it has its downsides too, but what are the positive aspects of that?
Well, for one, I mean, record labels historically have been filters. It's like, well, yeah, there's 100 bands in your average town, but all 100 bands are not worth making, spending money on and making a record of, So historically, record labels were that filter, and you're always going to need things like that. And so, in some form or another, record labels are not inherently a bad thing. And so their interference, quote unquote, is actually in some cases not interference at all, but purely, that's the person that goes, that band's great. They write good songs. Now the question is whether or not the record company as a whole is kind of set up in such a way that they are really going out there and trying to find that kind of talent and whatnot, and nurturing it and being patient with it, because just because you're a good songwriter or something to that effect doesn't mean you'll be instantly successful, and so it is a persistence thing. For us, as the owners of our destiny, I suppose, with the record company and whatnot, it's really been about maintaining consistency in our approach and in our career. When it came to songs, like Umbop, when it came to things before that, and when it came to things after that, it was always about maintaining our passion and our excitement, and not being afraid to go where the inspiration leads, because that's what got you where you were in the first place, and you didn't want to forget it. And I think too often what happens, because it's a natural thing that happens, but people start getting nervous. They start saying you need to chase something. Oh, you were successful in this form, so you should do that again. But the irony is, if you're saying do that again, you're already too late. It's like someone saying, oh, go write with this, really successful, producer person. Well, first of all, it doesn't mean they'll be successful with you, but second of all, they were already the flavor of the month, and unfortunately, by the time you're working with them, that month will be over. And so it's really, you have to make decisions based on the merit of the idea and the merit of the song and things like that, in direct association with the artist or the kind of career path that you're on. And so we just always try to maintain consistency in our art, and always tried to write the best possible song we could, the catchiest possible song you could, and cross your fingers that as far as marketing and exposure of that music, that you have the right team in place, that you can expose it in an effective way, and people can react and vote on whether or not they like it.
Right. Well, thank you for talking with us, Isaac. I think it was a really interesting conversation. I just want to remind fans that they can go to Hanson.net and find out info about the tour, get the tour dates, buy tickets. And I personally will be seeing you guys in San Diego at the House of Blues on November 8th, which is my birthday. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it'll be a great show.